like Winstrike already. Winstrike have like PL. PL is really good. But I just think Winstrike needs more to fight. It's gonna be really hard to play against Newbee.
So PL is really good against Dark Willow in a sense. He can remove the stun and then maybe potentially dodge his ultimate, the ultimate as well. But so he needs Manta Cell to be invincible to Dark Willow.
Yeah.
Dark Willow ulti doesn't really, the damage one, I don't, Bedlam doesn't really do anything to PL. So I guess that's why they picked it. But in a theory, their heroes look all okay and stuff like that. But I want to see a hero that synergizes with the Vengeful Spirit. You don't just pick that hero for the aura and stuff like that. You want to also utilize the ultimate.
You want that cheeky puck swap or something.
Yeah. You want to swap it to kill for the more secure late games, but I don't see any of that from the Winstrike, so I kind of want to see that.
Winstrike need to know, right? Right now, they have like PL, range, time, and like not really disables. And Newbee really every time they're gonna play against PL, they have every time CC play Amber and Storm same time. So need to know what's better for Burn right now, Storm or Amber? Because I think Amber is really good against Phantom Lancer. Not really good disables from Strike. The problem is the lane against time. And Storm the same thing, right? Storm can split, get more items, kills alright. He's a really good pick off in the game. So maybe Winstrike have some problem right now because
Okay. Alright.
Alk is really
annoying.
Yeah. Like he's good against PL.
Yeah, still get against anything.
Well, the last pick, we talked a little bit about what Winstrike might need.
I think they need disable. If they don't get disable, they're gonna go Storm on the Newbee side is what I feel.
10 seconds remaining.
Do you still think Stein need to go off lane or mid lane?
You almost need that flexibility though with like that 10th pick left. Like there's so many of these heroes that are still left in the pool. Like I mean I know Newbee don't play too much, but there's still the Huskar, there's still the Broodmother. You still have to be cautious about all of these heroes that are still in here.
Brood, please.
I don't think they're gonna pick Brood or Huskar.
No. I hope so, my friend.
I don't think so.
But I don't think so.
But it's there.
Consider.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
but please, don't leave it. Don't Brood, please.
Newbee.
Okay.
Alright.
They're really lacking in disable is what I feel. But Clockwork is a good hero against the Gyrocopter, right?
yeah, the Blade Mills.
Yeah. And then it's pretty good against Bane as well.
Yeah, but the Mirana not so much.
Yeah, Stormy Amber is really good game.
What about the SCCC Quap? Kind of a classic versus the Clockwork. Are you kind of putting yourself too short though?
I think you need to deal with PL. So it's like Lash, Storm, like these kind of heroes. But I feel like Lash is too squishy. Like he's gonna get bursted. And then Lash is really bad against the Clockwork. So I'll take that out.
I think Lash need like more items. If you die 1-2 times, it's gonna be a really hard game. And Amber and Storm is a safe pick. Amber can split. Pretty sure it's not die for Venge and Clock. So
they do have a lot of stuns, but they need like someone to initiate very first too.
And it's
DK is something we forgot about. He's good against PL, and he's a frontline.
All right, well, that rounds it out. DK during the night being the last pick here for Newbee, and all 10 heroes have been selected. This is Newbee versus Winstrike. And before we go into this game, we actually have Nahas here to break down a couple stats for us real quick.
Thank you, my friend. Time again for 60 seconds of stats. Newbee have structured their draft around this Mirana pick, been a very common opening pick throughout the tournament. Mirana actually has a 15-4 head-to-head advantage against Tiny, although the one match we've seen today has gone in the other direction. And we talk about Mirana Bane being that classic combo. It's actually Mirana and the Willow that are 10-1 together at this tournament. On the Winstrike side, I'm looking about tempo. Newbee is once again on the dire side where they've been 16 out of their 19 matches here at TI. In games that end before 40 minutes in this tournament, Radiant is 58-29, almost a 2-1 advantage. Winstrike are looking to force the action because later on that shifts to 28-39 in favor of Dire. That's 60 seconds of stats, guys. That's enough out of us. The TI 7 runner-ups with their tournament lives on the line, and to bring you all the action, they were dreaming in Sweden and now they're memeing at TI. Here are Odie, Pixel, and Fogged.
Thank you very much, Nahas. Indeed, it's myself and Fogged getting ready to... With another lower bracket, one game for these teams between making it forward in the TI8 or going home. It's a rough one. It's Winstrike versus Newbee. We've just had the 2 drafts. Is there anything that sort of screams out to you? Obviously, as we heard from Nahaz, there is that favorable Mirana stat versus Tiny that does favor Newbee's lineup.
Absolutely. I'm looking at Winstrike and they look very, very lane-oriented. Their mid-game team fight is pretty lacking. They actually have to fight completely around the Undying, while on Newbee, they have a lot more they can play around. It just seems a little bit more easy to execute, and if they can come out of the lanes, that mid-game is going to be extremely potent. With a Willow, with a Dragon Knight to group up around, with Mirana and Gyrocopter, all these team fight utilize ultimates versus what you see on Winstrike just doesn't seem like it has that team fight in comparison.
For instance, what do you think about the
That was unexpected.
Think what they like
This
to
is
do.
something we don't see a lot really in the core position nowadays.
Yeah, but these guys like to just pressure. So they see the gyro, right? And they're like, we want to just crush this guy. So Nangrata, we've seen him in the past. We've seen what he can do if he's able to just take over inside the early laning phase. He puts himself into position to actually take over the game. Not as like a carry where he's going to carry the game, but he's just this super disruptive player. When he was playing his Doom over and over again, he just would get in the face with no cares. I feel like that's what we're going to see out of him on the Clockwork. Quick blade mail, rush, and him just getting on top of the Bane, getting on top of the Gyrocopter.
Because also talking about the Clockwork, one of the reasons why we don't see it as much now, because in this 2-1-2 meta, it just doesn't fit as well. Does this mean that we're going to see Winstrike run the lanes 1-1-3? Is Nangrata going to be on his own, or do you think we are going to still see someone go up and help him?
I think we'll probably see a rotation. They might start as a try and then move the Venge up, but I think they're probably going to help him. Because Clockwork, the one thing about it is you want your level, so you don't want someone just sapping off of you the whole time. And you can pull the wave back constantly with your cogs. So he'll probably do that, and then once they feel safe in their bottom lane, Venge will probably make their way up, and then they can put pressure. You get level 2 on the Clockwork, you start threatening Bane if you have a Venge rotation coming in.
And how do you sort of favor the chances of Silent on the PL this game? Because he's up against 2 cores, the Dragon Knight and the Gyrocopter, that both have strengths against this hero down the line, right?
He wants to be ahead. He wants to be ahead in the start. If he gets behind in this game, that's when DK hits level 12 early on. Gyrocopter goes for something like that. Maelstrom we see pretty often now, as often as we see the Gyrocopter, of course. And those are those items that will really catapult you forward to deal with the Phantom Lancer. So, we'll see. Silent starting off with 9 tangos, so they have a ton of regen down bottom to deal with the pressure, which kind of expected, and already right off the bat we see No Fear is going to start making his move either toward that top lane or maybe throw mid, but directly toward top as he sees Faith try to disrupt with Nangrata's cog. Kind of cool trick, right? You see the Clockwork cogging it, you just run in as a Bane and you kill the cog. Faith tried.
Cindy Nangrata continuing to try and keep that lane in good position. As we saw as well at the start, Winstrike able to get 3 of the 4 bounty runes to kick this game off. And indeed, you're absolutely right, No Fear. Head straight up to the top, and we're going to see that spam of the Wave of Terror as No Fear looks to help Nangrata put the pressure onto Mugi's Gyrocopter.
And this is what we see from the Gyrocopters now, is you pretty much always go for the flat cannon level 1, because you want to push your lane out. You don't want this Clockwork Venge to double up the wave on you, get level 2, because that's when you die. That's when you're at risk of just getting dove by this tanky melee hero.
And the mid lane matchup, Iceberg versus SCCC, Tiny versus DK. Should Iceberg still have the edge here? We see Tiny win a lot of sort of early leveled matchups. Is that the same against a DK, or has SCCC got the ability to keep the CS even?
I want to say that the Tiny should, in theory, but if you get hit by too many Breathe Fires, you start to get reduced. I still think it should be a little bit Tiny favored either way, but Dragon Knight tends to come out even in a lot of these matchups that we usually would say that these strong melees or strong ranged heroes can dominate.
So far, pretty close between the two. Iceberg with just a slight edge. And of course, last but not least, this bottom lane, KP on the Mirana. You've got Kaka as well in the dark. Willow looking for the harassment onto Silent, trying to keep CS at the PL low. So far, he's 8 for 4. Silent not seeming to be too phased by these 2 being down it. Does have the backup of Always Want to Fly, who's doing a good job at finding the 2-man decays down here at the moment and giving some proper right clicks here to both Kaka and KP. As Kaka will use the shadow around there to limit the damage. Always Want to Fly is able to get out onto it.
I Always Want to Fly is doing a great job down here, just putting that pressure on them. This is what an Undying should do. I've seen a lot of these Undyings when they do this. They get their mana down low. Sure, they have their mangos, but I've actually seen them just suicide between tier 1 and tier 2. Curious if he's going to try to do that to reset his mana, but it doesn't really seem to be so. Actually catches an arrow here.
Kaka trying to come in with the right clicks too, but always going to be hard. Instant mango, Sorrep gets the 2-man decay, and he's more than fine on this bottom lane as he heals himself back up to 400 HP.
Iceberg's owning the mid lane now. Has pulled ahead.
I mean, all lanes, to be fair, across the board, these first couple of minutes looking pretty strong for Winstrike's lanes.
most definitely. I mean, bottom, they secured immediately. Then Mirana only has 6 last hits. That's pretty huge. And the Gyrocopter only has 9 in the safe lane. So already, a very comfortable spot before that nighttime takes. They seemed pretty afraid on the side of Newbee of a courier snipe. They've actually had it hiding on the side there for a good 20 seconds or so.
Yeah, maybe got a little suspicious with, obviously always want to fly, walking all the way to base. Maybe they thought he was doing, as you said, sort of going to go up and go between the tier 1 and the tier 2 and could be in position to head towards mid for the courier snipe.
I think you also have to be careful playing versus a tiny mid and you're using your courier. He throws a tree at it when it's walking and it just dies.
See down bottom, another attempt onto Kaka. He does have the Shadow Realm, so we'll be able to create some space. And indeed, Silent's not going to chase for that. So once again, Kaka keeping the distance.
Iceberg has a haste rune in the bottle, nice and early on. So that next rune congestion should be Iceberg's. And then he can maybe even make a move if somebody gets out of position.
Trying to keep SCCC a little low with the toss and trying to disrupt the DK's CS. And he really is doing a good job so far, as you say. 23 to 8 against 15 for 2. We'll pop that haste rune, but doesn't look like he's going to look for an attempt on SCCC. The regen a little too high.
Yeah, once you get more levels on the DK, you can start to catch up versus Tiny. But yeah, Tiny is definitely winning this one as Iceberg tries to look at the top rune, but it unfortunately spawns bottom for him.
And will be taken by Kaka as well to make sure that Iceberg isn't able to refill his bottle down bottom. Scans come out from both sides. At the same time there, as they check for rotations, and indeed Nongrata diving in with the battery assault, able to trap Mugi here in the cogs. No Fear coming across as well with the magic missile, and that will be the setup for first blood, going the way of Winstrike as Nongrata picks it up.
Do they have a Tango? They actually have a Quelling Blade. They're going to cut the tree and they can get out of there without actually getting punished at all. Great dive there, doubling up the wave. Nongrata able to use that level 3 with the 2 in battery.
Down bottom, the tombstone was dropped. The zombies continue to chase down Kaka. They got the decay as well. Do they want to dive for it? Doesn't look like they will. They'll turn towards KP. Get some harassment out, force him to lead back. Still all 3 lanes pretty much continuing to favor Winstrike bottom. The Nightmare to be taken off as they'll try and fight back. Nongrata trap Faith in the cogs. Faith able to get his way out, but the chase is there. With the battery assault and the right clicks, they get the kill onto the Bane. No Fear still alive as Mugi couldn't quite find him with the rocket barrage. Wave of Terror out, the flat cannon hits. Is it enough to kill off No Fear? It is, so Mugi will find the trade. So 1-for-1 in the top lane.
5-minute bounties. Nongrata will claim 2 of them as Kaka grabbed both. No, Silent got one of them. There for Stripe. A 2k advantage, only 5 minutes in. Pretty good for them. They're continuing to not allow KP to farm bottom. Mid lane still going Iceberg favored as No Fear is set up here to look for a kill.
They're trying to see if they can get the toss back into the missile, but SCCC plays it careful. Gets underneath his tower, straight away Kaka's in as well.
Top lane, Nongrata.
Set up. Nightmare into the homing missile, and that should certainly do it. As Nongrata will pop the stick charges, the cogs. Can he really get out of this? No, he can't. Brain saps up on Faith and finishes off the kill.
Looks like Kaka's going to start prioritizing rotating rather than just trying to help bottom. I think they've accepted the fact that this is... KP's just going to have to be left on his own. He's got the phase boots anyway in the Mirana, so it's, you know, it's decent. Tied in at least tied in last hits as well, Clockwork. They both pick up phase boots at the exact same time.
This time round with the Rune Spawn, Winstrike able to keep control of it, and always want to fly. Psycho bottle up, take it, and then pass the bottle back, so both of them are in a good place to continue fighting out on the map.
I like that he did that. The Undying was completely out of mana and pretty low on health, so now it allows Always Want to Fly to keep this pressure down bottom, and Iceberg even still fills up.
Newbee, as we can see, yes, starting to catch up in CS across all the lanes, but still both Silent and Iceberg really having the best of times coming out of this first 6 minutes of gameplay in their lanes.
Yeah, you can see Newbee's really trying to prioritize now, just making sure that Mugi can get this farm up. He doesn't want to die again. They were even putting down a ward to see the extra rotations coming in, and now they're setting up with Kaka. They want Mugi to get level 6, because then they can group up pretty decently. The DK plus Gyro 6, that's when you can start just taking fights, and that's the key to what we were talking about Newbee, right? Winstrike was a lot about just dominating the lanes. Newbee's about those mid-game team fights.
They'll try and lead in onto Nongrata with the missile. Kaka will show himself, but already Nongrata realizes the danger, gets himself far enough away. On the side though, it looks like the No Fear bench will be left behind. Nightmare into cooldown setup is there to allow Newbee to claim themselves the kill, but it's not the core kill that they would have been wanting for with that Kaka rotation.
No, and he spent his gold before he died too, so accepting his death.
Now Nongrata knows he can play the lane without having to worry about the cooldown for a little bit of time, so can feel confident sticking around and not worry about being set up upon with the Nightmare into Gyro.
I've been seeing so many bottle fills already on this main stage, just constantly keep yourself in a presence on the lane rather than have to go back. These supports have just been doing it non-stop. So yes, Triple C has gone for a, I mean, it's different, but it's kind of expected when you're playing versus a tiny double bracer on the Dragon Knight as well as a raindrop to tank that damage.
Top lane, again looking for the setup, onto Nongrata with a Nightmare, but he gets the chance to pop the cogs down, forcing Mugi away, and now Faith, he's in the awkward position because with the Battery Assault on the Soul, they have the damage to bring down Faith. No Fear will also head up towards the top lane in case Newbee were looking for more, but they'll back off as soon as their Bane goes down.
Where like these untraditional heroes like the Clockwork are so great. Like versus Bane and Gyrocopter, this hero is still pretty dominant. It's just if you can make it work. And so far we already have FaZe and the Urn picked up on Nongrata. He is very happy. If he gets an early level 6, he can isolate a lot of the heroes on Newbee and take them out.
Lane. They can find the setup. They do get the magic missile and avalanche. It does stack, but it may not matter. They get the toss back. Do they have the damage? No. With the quick stun onto the Tiny and the Nightmare as well, they may be able to look for the turnaround. They head forward to Iceberg. The Nightmare is removed, allowing Iceberg to get a stun back out. The Curse Crown does connect, but Newbee, they're actually splitting up. They know that they can't get this kill. They use the Moonlight Shadow. They back away. Kaka nearly falling there. Is able to stay alive. The toss damage not quite enough to finish off the Dark Willow.
As Triple C's build there coming into play, the double bracers.
And Iceberg, he's got a double damage. A quick punch to the back of Faith knocks him down.
Stepped up way too close there versus DD Tiny.
Look how much money this Tiny's got as well. Iceberg on top of the treads, 1,500 gold already built up. It's going to be a very quick timing on that Blink Dagger or Shadow Blade, whichever he chooses to go for first this game.
Yeah, it usually tends to be, it usually is the Blink, but if you're feeling that great, if you just jump up after a kill up to like 2,400, then that's when you make the decision to use for that Shadow Blade. And it's great this game, right? Versus the DK, you can eventually go for that Silver Edge if you want to.
And all while this is happening, all the space in the world for Silence, still second on the net worth, as you saw all 3 cores of Winstrike, the top 3 on the board at the moment. Their lanes going exactly to plan. We'll see SCCC now make the rotation. Does lead in with the stun onto always want to fly. Arrow from KP follows up. They've got the control and they have got the damage.
Nicely done. Top Mugi.
Looking to move in Nongrata. Now level 6 has already used the hook shot. He has to be careful of the damage, the rocket barrage and the homing missile. In fact, Nongrata will go down. SCCC in with the TP rotation. They'll look to find No Fear as well with the rocket barrage from Mugi. It should be enough, and it is. A killing spree for Mugi as they clean up both heroes on the top lane of Winstrike.
Looks like they initially went for the hook shot. It went off the mark, and then they just continued to go for that dive. And if you get isolated versus a Gyrocopter, that's the strength of the hero is still there. That has not been changed. The rocket barrage still will shred you if you don't have any type of magic resistance. As we do see, Nongrata queues up the blade mail immediately afterwards. As expected, they all want to be very, very fast-paced. They want to be taking these fights before Newbee gets to that power point.
Yeah, and this is going to help them. The Blink Dagger on Tiny done. 10 minutes in. Iceberg ready to play. And ready to make those movements as he heads towards the top lane. Newbee trying to start something. They'll get the swap back. No Fig grabbing Faith, putting him underneath the tower and into the hands of Nongrata as Faith will get swapped back and left behind. The rest of Newbee retreat from the push.
Have to be a bit afraid here for Newbee just because of this, like you said, the PL. Silent is just...
Oh, and that's the Blink reveal. Whoop. Iceberg straight in with the solo kill. Oh yeah, this bottom lane it seems to only be going better and better for Silent. It seems that KP on his own on the Mirana just can't do enough at this stage to stop this PL from farming.
I mean, there's no way a solo Mirana can. Possible for pressure onto a free farming PL. Who can have that good game, like we said. They do have ways to deal with the PL as long as the Gyrocopter and the DK keep up in pace. If the PL starts to get to that point where you have an item ahead of these other heroes, you feel very dominant. Like if you get to that point where your heart is online, that's sure that's later down the line, but very significant tank through those flags.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Newbee do pop the fortification. Iceberg heading towards top. There's a
smoke for this.
Yeah, it's going to be detected. Iceberg's able to blink out. They didn't get a touch in apart from the Cursed Crown, so Iceberg is safely back on the high ground.
You see how they're focusing so much on the side of Newbee, just going to Mugi's lane. You don't see them going down to pressure the PL. They're understanding that they need to make sure that Mugi has this excellent game so he can transition to deal with that Phantom Lancer. Constant rotations up here.
And likewise, Winstrike constantly sitting behind him with 2 supports. making sure that the setup is there for them to try and find the fight for top lane. In with the Elder Dragon form. They find the stun, opening up straight away onto the bench. No escape for No Fit. TPs are starting to come through, but already Newbee surrounding a second. They find always want to fly. He gets the tombstone down, but he's dead as well. Jump forward from Iceberg with the combos. Enough burst to kill off Faith on the Bane. Kaka holding the Terrorize for now. Moogie looking to turn, has the cooldown onto Iceberg. There's the combo. The Terrorize sending Iceberg back underneath the cooldown with the magical damage that Newbee had. They finally kill, but Silent has come in with a rotation. Looking to chase down Moogie. Can he find Moogie? Moogie keeping himself outside of vision. He charges forward with the cursed crown. Holds back the PL. Silent desperate for the kill, but he's not going to get it. Newbee keep everybody alive. There's Nongrata. Maybe seeing if he can find the wraparound with the battery. So he's found him. Nongrata does get the kill. It's a big payoff as well. 500 gold straight to the clockwork. Can they hunt him down? Doesn't look like they will. As Nongrata able to recover some semblance of that fight there, getting that kill on the gyro at the end of it all.
Doesn't quite salvage it, gets himself a nice chunk of money toward that blade mail, which the blade mail can have a huge effect versus the gyrocopter, unless the BKB comes at the same time, which it looks like they're probably going to get those.
Straight BKB on gyro.
They're going to get the same equivalent timings on the both of them, opposing sides.
And already, I mean, they love this top lane, Newbee. The four of them heading back up there. They really want to take away the control that Winstrike had earlier from this lane. Get that tier 1 as quick as they can. They'll be able to clean up a nice little double stack here.
I think I saw in that last fight, I think the missile was used initially on the, I think it was the bench, and then it always want to fly came out of the fog for a second, and it redirected on him instantly. So he just gets killed, and they're at a huge number disadvantage on Winstrike. And Newbee took clear advantage
No fear, trying to push out a little too far. Here's Newbee already on the hunt.
The spam
Can he escape? He's trying his best to run his way around the tree line, as he will now show himself underneath the tower. He's wasting their time at the moment, just trying to make sure that they spend as much time possible looking for this kill. As there we have it, they do now set up to him with the Nightmare, close the gap with SCCC, and they'll have enough control to burst down No Fear. Same time mid lane, Moogie with his eyes on Iceberg. So if there's going to be any TPs coming through, there will be. And look to see if they can find the fight here as they'll move in with the cooldown. Iceberg does get the final touch onto the tower and does have the backup of Always Want to Fly. Pops down the tombstone, quick soul rip as well onto Iceberg, but it's going to mean he's going to end up tanking the arrow. Always Want to Fly does die. Iceberg just keeping himself hidden, does have the blink dagger available, so Newbee will not be able to find him. Newbee's starting to pick up some of these kills across the map.
And you can see how they're just playing so much about grouping up. Because they understand they don't want to have Winstrike just go around and get these single pickups when they have this Tiny. They know if they group up, then Tiny can't actually utilize this blink how he wants to. Like, if a Tiny blinks into this, you're going to get killed in every single situation.
And here we go, 15 minutes in, and Newbee will be able to find this tier 1 tower mid, the push of SCCC's Elder Dragon form.
Look at how much they focus so much on this mid tower too. They placed 4 wards to just watch any approach that Winstrike would have wanted to go for here.
Rada does find Kaka. Kaka is going to try and play his way out with the Terrorize. Moonlight Shadow popped down as well. They have a sentry. The combination of the Terrorize and the Bramble Maze is enough to hold Nongrata back. Same time up top, they found Silent. It's a big one. Straight away, Faith, no hesitation. Opens up with the Fiend's Grip, and Silent caught out.
Has the defusal finished, but that's twice now that Silent has, well, the first time he turned up to a fight, died instantly. Now again, getting caught out of position. That's the 2 times he's revealed himself out of that bottom lane and just straight into deaths.
And they do have, as you can see with Newbee's lineup, a lot of great ways to sort of catch and control this PL. Sent towards mid. Kaka looks to play around with No Fear. That is it, just keeping No Fear away from making any moves towards the top lane. 3 minutes in.
Iceberg changed priorities. I think he was starting to recognize that if he's just running around looking for kills as this Tiny, they're going to fall really far behind on map control. So we just saw Iceberg take the mid tower. He goes directly bottom, takes that tower as well. Now they start getting themselves, some more information on the map, and they're going to be looking for that smoke. They've got the blade mail finished on Nongrata, so he is a bit of a beast right now.
And what's the BKB status on Moogie's gyro?
He's still a bit away, 400.
Still a bit away. But they could look to jump in before he has that BKB out, and as you say, with the blade mail, that's a fantastic time for Winstrike to get Nongrata in on the front lines.
Yeah, Newbee's going for their own play too, because they have all this ward vision around top.
Moogie shows himself a little too long. Nongrata in straight away. There we have it with the blade mail. Moogie will try and throw spells down, but it's only going to speed up his own demise. So they lose the gyrocopter. Newbee, No Fear. Just go straight for the TP out, back to base, away from Kaka's Bedlam. and makes it safely before any sort of stun can kick in. TP's coming up towards the top as they'll look to fight onto Newbee. Newbee themselves with the smoke, trying to find their own surprise jump, and they do. SCCC immediately in with a blink on top of Always Wanna Fly, can't get out a single spell, but there's the back of Winstrike, comes in, the two-man avalanche gets Fate for the quick punch, and now they turn towards SCCC. They have the Spirit Lark slowing him down, the arrow will be thrown out, stuns Nongrada temporarily, but it won't save the Dragon Knight, as SCCC gets taken down as well.
Nice play by Always Wanna Fly. Just walking in and dying. That was actually his job. You can see that Silent was wary that something was happening because they made that play bottom and there was absolutely no reaction. So you know that Newbee's making their own play. Silent was playing a bit defensive. Always Wanna Fly walks up, tanks the gank for his teammate. And since they have a Shrine right there, they can pour it in. Quick reactions coming through from Winstrike.
This would be a good chance for Winstrike to get a lot of damage done to that top tier 1 and may just be able to take it. Newbee still without the Dragon Knight for 10 seconds, without the Elder Dragon form, unlikely to look to try and form together a defense for that tower. It's indeed Silent, able to claim it. More money into the bank as he still sits there, second highest on the net worth, only behind Iceberg on that Tiny, 8.6k.
Who's pretty huge on the Tiny. I wonder if he's gonna just go for like the transition build. We usually see the Echo Saber next on the Tiny. And sometimes you see like AC or Heart. I think I would really like that this game, so he can keep that scaling. They don't want this game to just be a PL versus a Gyro DK. This Tiny has to be a threatening presence in that later stage.
We'll see this replay once again, as you say, Always Wanna Fly going straight in, but this was the plan all along. Yep. He wanted them to jump out of the smoke and on top of him because it gives this a chance to come in. Iceberg, perfect lead in, and at this stage, you know, Silent with the defusal, he does more than enough damage.
Yeah, that was just such a good map read. 'Cause like I said, they knew that no one responded to the Gyro, so Iceberg was already making his move over toward the PL. Like they knew that that move was happening from Newbee. Now Iceberg continues to go on the height. He's queued up the Silver Edge, so that's the other thing we were talking about versus the Dragon Knight. Lets you break that Dragon's Blood.
Iceberg there, as we see, keeping it cool and making the calls in game as Iceberg mid lane, setting up with Shadow Blade, jumps with a blink, looks for the combo onto KP, not enough damage. KP able to leap to the side. Now Iceberg's got to be careful. Jump forward from SCCC. Can he find the stun or the touch onto Iceberg? He does. He gets the stun. Always Wanna Fly, looking to pop the arrow, but the Fiend Script still comes down onto the Tiny. They've got the combo. Newbee, Moogie with the damage. Double kill with the cooldown. They get both of them. As this is the scare for Winstrike, when Newbee do band together as a 5-man, it's very hard for Winstrike to take a fight if they don't have the full 5-man there themselves. They just get overrun.
It's a little crazy by Iceberg too, jumping in like that. He sees the Mirana and he sees how much health she has. She has 1462. Tiny can't burst through that with this item build just yet. You need to get to that stage if you do have like the Echo Saber and all that. So he actually reveals himself with his Shadow Blade and then he blinks forward, so his escape mechanic is gone. And Newbee, as you mentioned, they're playing a lot about that group up. That's what we were the panel was talking about too, is they just want to look for taking those group team fights. We're giving them quite a big drop there, as we see. The net worth, it's still pretty much even, same with experience across the board, but that slows down Iceberg a bit.
Kaka does try and kick something off down. He's got the Shadow Ramp, does have to be careful because both Iceberg and Silent are looking for him. Moogie gonna come in with the backup, has the cooldown, but they've already lost one. They've lost Kaka. This whole rip from Always Wanna Fly, keeping Nongrada healed up. He'll hook shot up to the high ground to keep himself alive. It's Winstrike will be able to find the kill, get themselves out without having to worry about taking the fully fledged team fight against Newbee. Still creating time to keep Silent farming and keep him at the top, keep him ahead. As you said from the start, this is important. They have to make sure Silent never falls behind the Gyro and the DK.
And keep finding these scrappy fights, keep finding these scrappy pickoffs. That's exactly what their team composition thrives off of.
Full Spirit Vessel now on Nongrada, so sort of has that extra means to help deal with heroes like the Dragon Knight with that high regen.
Yeah.
We'll give him a little easier to buy for him, and also with Iceberg closing in on that Silver Edge, as you said he would be.
Spirit Vessel will give them some good sustain too after the fights if they want to try to transition into a push if they do find some pickoffs. Just a Spirit Vessel and Urn is one of the most valuable items.
Yeah, fantastic stats as well.
Yep.
In terms of HP, which you're always going to want to build up when you are running a blade mail.
Yeah, I mean you see Nongrada, 2,000 health Clockwork with 18 armor. Does pose a bit of a threat versus Newbee.
He's going to have more stance as well down the line as he looks to queue up the Aghanim Scepter, so we can have that better uptime in terms of jumping in and out.
Look how farmed he is, right? Like, this is a clockwork.
Yeah.
500 gold
8K
less
network.
than a gyrocopter.
He's killing it. I mean, a lot of people have said, you know, watching Winstrike, Nongrata, he's the player to watch. He's
He's the
5-2-4
X factor.
here on the main stage. Their first game, it's looking fantastic, and it's already sort of the confidence that we've seen from Winstrike at the previous lands, like at Epicenter. People didn't know what to expect, but there's something about these guys that when they turn up on the main stage, they sort of find this confidence that looked to be sort of lacking during some of the games in the group stage.
Right, we said Nongrata had to have an excellent start. And
Radiant's
yeah, he has been
bottom tower is under attack.
5-2 and 4 on this clockwork. They have some item timings though. They've got the Blink BKB on SCCC as well as that BKB from Mugi. They just saw a rocket pass overhead, so they know that Winstrike's in the vicinity up here.
Winstrike maybe feeling confident in the vision of the rocket player, might not expect the wraparound.
Number advantage. KP is not with Newbee, and Faith is also lagging a bit behind.
I mean, KP, he can TP. Well, he's not got the he's got the
very
one
low
charge. He
mana.
wants to want a TP. They do find Nongrata on the back. They're going to lead in, but he gets the blade mail out in time, so it's going to make it hard for them to go on him. They're trying their best. The tombstone's been dropped down. SCCC looking ahead into the tree line, but the turnaround's sort of there. Now he pops the BKB. Arrow does connect onto Nongrata. Gets swapped out by No Fear. On the side, Kaka with a Bedlam. He found Iceberg with a Fiend Script from Fate. They get a second. No Fear trying to fight back, but he's left alone. He'll go down silent. He's turned up to the fight. Can he find anything? He looks towards KP with a decay from Always Want to Fly. They do find one, but silently he's just got to somehow get himself out of there. He's got the TP back up in 4 seconds. He's trying to hide in the tree line. The chase is there from Kaka. Can Silent get away with this TP? He's going for it. He gets out. He will get out of there, but at the end of the day, still a great move from Newbee, getting that wraparound. You could see it there. They weren't quite prepared, Winstrike. They were split up. Nongrata did get the blade mail out, but they were too separated to really help one another against the control that heroes like Face Bane offered, as you saw. Straight up Fiend Script onto Iceberg. Iceberg could barely get out a single spell in the whole fight.
Yeah, he got controlled throughout the entire duration of it, and I think Winstrike were trying to take that fight because they're like, oh, KP's bottom, low on mana, but KP TP'd the Shrine, and they actually had the Shrine ready. So it pops the Shrine, and they're ready to take that fight with a full 5-on-5. They actually ignored the Tombstone too, I realized. They had their Flat Cannon hits up, but Mugi, he was just like, whatever, we're just going to kill everybody else. But yeah, it's really about the catch that they got on Iceberg. We see how split they are in the fight. We see, of course, Nongrata gets caught on the left side, but then Iceberg tries to go for Kaka and just gets completely controlled.
Doesn't have, yeah, so she saw quite enough damage immediately. Dropping the sentry, dropping the control, Faith with the big Fiend Script. I mean, if Iceberg was able to sort of head over, yeah, absolutely. Just the power, the combination between the Bane and the Willow in terms of control. And it's always going to continue to be like that in the team fights before Iceberg is able to get something like the BKB online.
Yep.
Which, as we've seen, obviously favoring the Silver Edge this time around. That's not really going to help him too much in these 5v5s. It's going to be fantastic when they find KP or for instance, the Dragon Knight SCCC out on alone. But anytime Newbee are able to get the wraparound and force these full 5v5 team fights, it's still going to be rough for the Tiny.
Yeah, I mean, if they can split it up, if they can ever get a Fiend Script and a Willow ulti to kill Tiny, that was literally just his 2 supports that killed him in that last fight. That's the dream scenario. Like, mess with Nongrata, make the fight total chaos so the Vengeance can't actually look for a situation.
Oh, look at this. Instantly, they hit a scan, they go for the Moonlight Shadow, make a move, make a play. No Fear's there with the swap out. Will mean that he sacrificed himself. Nongrata sort of looking to try and get back in on this, maybe. Silent, he's going to doppelganger up to the high ground. They want to take this fight, Winstrike. They're looking for SCCC, but he gets the BKB out. The Terrorize sending Iceberg back, allowing Mugi to chase him down with the Rocket Barrage. They've lost 3. Silent, he's trying for Kaka. The buyback will come out from Faith, but the Shadow runs back up. Kaka, he's going to be fine. Silent trying to go for the AFK play. Is it enough? The homing missiles onto the grip. Faith has the control. They'll lose Kaka, but they've got Silent. It's an ultra kill for Mugi. And again, Winstrike, they seem to be trying to force themselves into these fights, which are just never going to work for them.
No, they're fighting into the double BKB timings from Newbee. So that magic community in the fights makes it a lot easier for Newbee to execute. And also looking at the location of the fight, that was just a small little hallway for everybody to walk into a call down. Mugi getting all the damage in the world coming through.
I mean, you saw there as well, so it's Silent with the over-aggression, doppelgangering in from the low ground to the high ground. His team was never going to be up there to back him up. He just went straight in. And they just got picked off one by one, and Mugi getting an ultra kill. As you can see now, sitting up there, level with Silence Farm, top of the board. It's getting to that scary position for Winstrike, where this Gyro, is getting out of control. He's got the money for a full Mjolnir on top of his BKB.
Yeah, almost level 18 too, so max cooldown. We get some more talents coming out soon too. Dragon Knight as well, going to be hitting that point, so they're getting very...
At which point would you say Winstrike needs to be, we've got to get out of there? Is it here, as soon as the Venge's in, or do you sort of admire that they feel that they can take this fight?
I think it's way too scary to fight into that small little area when you're fighting versus the gyrocopter.
But bottom lane, they do find the hook shot onto KP. He's got the leap. Iceberg is going to look for the combos. He chases him down. There's the leap with the avalanche. Another leap is out though. Iceberg jumps forward with the toss. Has he actually got enough damage? He throws the trio. He will get in there with the rocket, but he's going to pay off his life by the looks of it. The homing missile connects. He does get swapped out by Iceberg, but SCCC with the blink, with the stun, gets the tiny, and now no fear. In trouble as well. The homing missile coming down. Packer with the terrorize, keeping himself alive. He sends Silent off to the side. Nongrata does have the blade mail out, but the BKBs are there on Moogie and SCCC. They're not taking any of this magical damage back upon themselves. KP will buy back, but again, this Newbie coming out on top of these fights is they're just trying to force themselves into positions where they're taking unfavorable trades. Iceberg going fully in on kills. But by the time he gets, there's more than enough time for the backup of Newbie to come in and clean him up.
And Newbie's getting the initiation in every single one of these team fights. It's always, I've seen Nongrata get initiated on, I think in the last 3 scenarios, and that's the last 3 scenarios where Winstrike could not take the fights because he's so crucial to their team. You know, we were pointing out, he's doing great, 9,000 net worth, but he has to make that net worth work inside the team fights, and he's not able to actually get in it versus Newbie when they're all grouped up with these BKBs.
And I like this as well from Iceberg. He did have the AC queued up, but he's changed it for a BKB.
They need BKB.
If he's going to continue playing like this, he absolutely has to have the BKB. And it could come at a good timing, because obviously the BKBs of Newbie are starting to run lower and lower. Winstrike into the pit here.
They're trying to take advantage of playing around, I guess you could say, the ulti timing window with the Dragon form, but Newbie all in the position around this end. Winstrike are not killing it as fast as they'd like.
Nongrata just got to do his best to sort of block off any initiation. As they're looking to lead him with the Bramble, no fear, trying to draw their attention outside of the pit. Winstrike still going for it, but now the cooldown comes down. Moogie charging him straight away with the Mjolnir above him, and the BKB online. They'll get the stun onto Always Wanna Fly. He's gone down. Nongrata leads him with the hook shot. KP on the side gets jumped upon. Iceberg will be able to combo down the Mirana. SCCC and Moogie still trying to move forward, but the BKBs have now worn off. They're back into the pit, but Moogie's pretty low. Roshan doing so much damage to the man. They've lost Moogie. They'll get the Aegis on Silent.
Oh my God.
Iceberg, Winstrike, they get both. They get the kills. They get the cleanup. Faithful get out. But Winstrike, that time around, able to sort of kite the fight out, wait until the BKBs of Newbie wore off, and then get back in, get the cleanup, get the Aegis onto Silent, and not only that, getting the kill on Roshan. They absolutely needed it. One more fight going the way of Newbie. It could have been the point where it's just impossible to come back against this Gyro, but they were able to do it, Winstrike, around a Roche Pit fight. That this time, it was Newbie that sort of stuck around too long after the BKBs wore out.
Exactly. Right when they also got the initiation again. Winstrike gets the initiation, the fight looks much better for them because it forces those BKBs early on, and then the fight progresses, and they thrive off of that. Silent's able to just run rampant as this PL throughout the fight. And for once, Iceberg survives. Doesn't just die after he jumps in first. They allowed Nongrata to start the fight, and then everybody else has a lot more freedom, a lot more liberty to do so. Because I think Newbie, right, they pop both BKBs to kill the Tombstone, and then as soon as those BKBs are done, the fight gets way more difficult.
I mean, because how long are the durations on some of these BKBs on Newbie?
We got a 6-second on DK, and I want to say the same thing on Gyro. Yep, 6 seconds on Gyro.
It's getting lower and lower. We'll see the replay here once again. It looked like it was going to be great for Newbie, moving it at the right time, but they just couldn't this time around actually finish off a kill whilst their BKBs were active.
Yeah, look, the whole BKB from Moogie comes forward, he gets the tomb, but then Nongrata jumps in, gets a pretty good hook shot, zoning them right from that pit.
And now the BKB's gone.
And the BKBs are gone, and then Silent can do his job. He can start walking in and out of the fights constantly. And Moogie took a big clap here from Roshan, I'm pretty sure, yeah, as well as the Spirit Vessel. Everything kind of working out for Winstrike. Kind of perfect in that fight.
Just when it needed to, as well as they now lead 4K advantage. See the excitement there. And sort of the surprise, the shock, that fight. That was not the plan for Newbie.
Yeah, I don't think Moogie expected to walk in the Roche just to clap him down. About 200 health on top of the Spirit Vessel.
You've got to be careful when you stack up as 3. And now some tasty items for Winstrike coming out of the back of that no fizz. He's now got a full pipe for the fights as well. So that's not only getting to the point where the BKB, the gold, it's pretty much there for Iceberg if he wants to go and grab that. Having that on top of the pipe, that is a lot of sort of resistance that the majority of the damage coming out from Newbie's lineup, it is going to be negated.
And they're going to get this timing too. Like, Silent gets an Aegis, now he's about to have Heart finished, and they have a pipe on top of that. So Heart and a pipe aura on your Phantom Lancer illusions, they have like Maelstroms and stuff, but it's going to be able to deny a little bit of that damage that Newbee's coming out to kill Silent.
I believe that's another round of bounty rings where Winstrike pretty much getting them all. I think sort
got
of
every single
over
one?
the course of the game there, each time around the bounty spawn they're winning out, and see Dota Plus favoring that 87% win predictor probability for Winstrike at this stage of the game. Even though they're only leading by 3k, it certainly, you can certainly see how Newbee can get back into this fight, because there's going to be things to factor in, such as the high ground defense, pushing into sort of this gyro that, you know, by no means is far behind. He's still pretty much level with the farm of Silent and Iceberg Mugi, and well on the way to getting the Aghanim Scepter on top of the Mjolnir. And at that point, sort of with that, the Ags, the Mjolnir, and the BKB, it's going to be very hard to push into.
Yeah, they're going to be able to deal a lot of damage, but the one thing, the little X factor that Winstrike has is they have a lot of ways to amplify their damage. They have the Venge, which has the aura as well as the Wave of Terror, and then they even have the Undying, the Flesh Golem. That really enables these cores to deal that much more damage inside the team fights, while Newbee, they have to enable themselves off themselves. They don't have someone else to buff them. Their BKBs are just so important inside those fights. They have to watch their positioning around that tombstone. As we're soon going to have a second tombstone in the game, as Always 1 of 5 is almost level 15, where he'll probably, you know, just run and drop tombstone and try to die to drop a second one. And a full Aghanims on Non-Grata. Very early timing for him. Still keeping up in net worth, above KP as a clockwork.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
As you say, one of those heroes, even when they're having a good game, doesn't normally keep up with the enemy offlaner because of sort of his lack of ability to quickly farm, but Non-Grata just being able to find himself in so many favorable positions.
He has more health than the Phantom Lancer. He is 3,100. He also sitting at 3056 with the anti-treads.
Look at this, Winstrike. They're able to take a tier 3 tower without Newbee doing anything. Tier 3 on the bottom lane is gone. It's Silent starting to hit into the Rex. Newbee, they've got to do something to answer this. They'll enfeeble the Phantom Lancer inside the base. Mugi just being forced back by the illusion spam from Silent. Non-Grata in with a hook shot. He's able to find KP. KP still with a leap away. Will be fine. Terrorized down onto a couple of Winstrikes, sending them back. They have managed to separate them as Newbee looks to commit with the BKB from SCCC. But the swap there for no fit. Getting Iceberg in onto Kaka. They're trying to target here. This hero trying to kill him they can, but he's got the Aegis. He's going to be back for a second round. Mugi has to get out. The BKB already used. Non-Grata back in with a hook shot. Does die. That's Non-Grata up to 75 and no fear dead as well. They're losing heroes. 3 down now as Newbee, they're holding. They're cleaning up. Silent's still alive though. Maybe he can do this on his own. The buyback comes out from Faith. Silent now will back away. He's the last one left alive. We'll see if Kaka can find the control onto him as he looks to head in. Silent goes for the TP and will make it. They can't quite get the stun upon him. As Newbee do manage to hold this bottom lane, does cost them 2 buybacks, but it gets them 4 kills on Winstrike, taking the Aegis away, of course, as well from Silent. And they will keep that bottom lane of Rax alive.
What a remarkable team fight from Faith in particular. He controlled the PL for pretty much that entire duration. He got the instant Fiend's grip off on Silent, and then afterwards, he gets the Nightmare off on him too, but while his whole team dies around him, that was so well executed by this Bane.
That is now on Newbee's lineup, a second Mjolnir finish, just SCCC has this as well, so Silent has to be careful with his illusion in the fight. We'll see this fight again. It didn't look like it was going to go too bad for Winstrike. They were having a good chance at getting the racks, but the lead in from SCCC was perfect.
Yeah, look at Faith on the side here, controlling Silent throughout this entire time while Iceberg is dealing a lot of damage, and this is the BKBs, like you said, very important. They've got Aegis, BKBs are gone, but watch Faith again here. They're getting some good damage in. Again, sleeps Silent instantly, and Silent just has to just kind of panic in this situation because his whole team dies. That was really good play from the position 5 of Newbee.
Take us.
I'll take that.
Again, continuing to feel like one of the closest games we've had so far today. 35 minutes, only about 2,000 net worth in it at the moment between these two teams. Going the way of Winstrike, but as we're seeing, as expected, the high ground pushes aren't going to be that easy for Winstrike. A lot of ways for Newbee to force them out of the base and fight strong with that high ground advantage each time.
How close are we to triple Mjolnirs? Almost. KP hasn't queued it up just yet, but he's got Maelstrom, and as you said, the other two have their Mjolnir, but they're looking for these fights.
Because, I mean, at that point, as I say, Silent on the PL, he has to be careful with how the illusions attack, otherwise he's going to be end up just kicking so much damage back at himself. They're on the hunt, Newbee, and with this smoke movement, only Always Want to Fly out at the moment, he's just TP'd back as well, so they won't catch any heroes out.
Winstrike caught a glimpse of the smoke. They have the ward around the Ancients, so they actually saw Newbee trying to prepare for this as we see them all sitting in the base. The Bastard finished up for Silent now, so going for that Abyssal Blade so we can lock onto the Gyrocopter in particular. And now they're going to look for their own smoke. They've got a gem as well. They want to try to take these fights. They're feeling their power spike. They're feeling their window.
Silent as well, very close to level 25 on the Phantom Lancer. As we would imagine, taking the Doppelganger talent, he's going to have that ability to jump around even more.
You see that talent he chose, though, the 4 max juxtaposed illusions. We tend to see the Phantom Rush.
I see the attempt to lead. They go for the hookshot Nungrada onto Kaka. We'll split it up the fight here with the Cogs. They get the jump of the combo from Iceberg onto Kaka to take him down. BKB's been popped by KP as he looks to go in for the kill on Nungrada. Will find it. Turns towards always want to fly. Never leap forward. Gets himself a double, but indeed on the back. Silent. He gets swapped out. No fear. Buys him some time. Can Silent get out of it? He's got a doppelganger. Iceberg jumps in with the combo. The break hit onto SCCC. It's enough to punch him down and beat him out. The homing missile connects onto Silent. Mugi's got the damage to finish him off. They find the 3 for 3. Mugi on the retreat, does have to be careful, no fear, trying to see if he can chase and get the catch on him. But Mugi should just be speedy enough to make himself safe and out of there.
Ooh, such close fights between both these teams over and over again. The little things coming into play there. I think Silent is starting to realize he really needs to prioritize the Bane in these fights. He beelined it onto Faith there. Took him out pretty much instantly as soon as the fight starts. Almost dies because of it though, because he gets himself into the middle of the double Mjolnirs, which almost killed him, but then that nice swap coming out from bench. But Mugi was able to get that follow-up chase and get the kill. Mugi, 15-4-14 in this game, really being the rock for his team, as he kind of needed to be. They put a lot of eggs in the basket of Mugi, securing his top lane over and over again during that early game.
We are now going to see, I believe, the Vlad's complete for no fear, so that extra sort of sustain will be there for Silent in the fights.
More damage too.
Absolutely, that aura adding up, certainly that on top of the Vengeance aura. They do hit hard.
He'll almost be level 20 too. He can choose to go for that Vengeance aura damage as well, and that can really start to add up. With when you have a Tiny's not attacking that often, but he still hits very hard with that aura too. Mostly about the PL. But
I was going to say, do you imagine he will take that? I mean, the BKBs are getting kind of low. Would it be nice to sort of have the more frequent uptime on the stun? Or is he just very rarely taken?
I see both. I see both. Like, it's fairly even. Because it is really good. It really is really good. It's 5-second cooldown on your magic missile. Really depends, I guess, like how close you can want to be inside the fights. Because the other ones, yeah, as a bench for the normality of the game, you're kind of just throwing wave of towers until you see an opportunity to swap somebody.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Iceberg getting close to that AC. That's going to help a decent amount versus that Gyro Flak, just some more armor for all of his teammates. Same thing with that Vlad's aura, just some slight amount.
And on the high ground.
They saw Mugi.
He did. He's able to get himself back up towards his teammates as both teams grouped closely as 5. Roshan is back up. We saw last time the fight around the pit go the way of Winstrike.
They don't want to just walk into a fight. They want to smoke into a fight, so they can get the wraparound. They can get that, get the jumps that they properly want to. I think Nungrada can start. I think he has been for the most part in the game, but shooting the rockets into the back lines of the fights just to catch a look of where the Bane is.
And they're going to go for it because they see that Newbee have a lot of numbers cleaning out the middle lane. So they know that there is time before Newbee sort of gets over it, and they can do it very fast with the auras, with the Wave of Terror. The arrow does come through. It's going to hit onto Roche. It's only going to help them here. Newbee's got to get in now if they want to do something about it. And SCCC looks to come in. Straight in. They've got the Terrorize as well. Kaka sending them outside of the pit. But Iceberg got the BKB off. He's looking to finish Roshan. Can he get it? No. Newbee get the Roshan, but Iceberg gets the Aegis. But Winstrike, they've lost 3. They're going to lose the Aegis out of the hands of Iceberg as Newbee cleaning up around the pit. They have lost Mugi, but Newbee, they've got the numbers. They'll control him. Nungrada comes in with a hook chase, trying to help out his brother Iceberg. Iceberg turns with the toss onto Kaka. Kaka's got the shadow around here. The arrow in onto Silent, but Kaka falls. Silent back in, turns towards SCCC, gets the Dragon Knight. The buybacks there from Winstrike will allow them to come out on top. But again, it's expensive. And still only 2,000 net worth between these teams. And Winstrike, we'll see how much they can do off the back of these buybacks. They were able to clean up the fight. Mugi now off the game for 60 seconds, does not have buyback. SCCC does, he's straight back in. As he knows that Winstrike are going to try and look for more.
That's a very good buyback from Silent. I'm surprised they didn't actually commit the buyback as well from Iceberg. He's still dead for 60 seconds. Silent
will be hit by the arrow here, but they're getting damage onto the barracks.
Yeah.
Newbee, can they do anything about this without the gyrocopter? Silent, he did actually take the damage one here, Silent. Taking the critical strike over the cooldown on Doppelganger, which we have started to see be a bit more popular among PL players, but he wants that damage. He wants to be able to get on top of someone with the basher and know that he's going to be able to eliminate them like Mugi. If he gets on top of Mugi, before the fight sort of really kicks off, they're going to have a fantastic chance. And Winstrike there cleaning up that middle lane of getting that Rax.
I think in this game, because he sees them going for so many Mjolnirs, he's like, okay, whatever, I can go for this damage zone. And also, I think it's because he wants to kill this gyrocopter in like a single.
He's got to do it straight away.
Because this is gyrocopter. You have Aghanims, you have Satanic. If you get your Satanic off, you get healed off pretty much instantly. We see this fight again. This swap by No Fear was really good too, pulling SCCC out of the pit. So they kind of like separated the fight for themselves. But still, Newbee, the damage they can do when everybody's all clumped up on top of the gyrocopter is pretty remarkable. But we see Silent gets that buyback to come through, and that's pretty much the game changer. Because they have to wait so much time dealing with these obnoxious tombstones to get away.
I mean, that buyback from Silent was absolutely fantastic. Newbee still had 3 heroes alive with full health, and Silent still foresees that they can turn this fight around if he buys back with just him, Non-Grata, and Iceberg. Just after Iceberg had lost the Aegis, but that wasn't enough for Silent to sort of sit back, hands on the keyboard. He knew he could get back in and managed to swing it back in Winstrike's favor. I mean, very clutch buyback.
They had their 3 cores available. Iceberg was, of course, the one who died afterwards, but Non-Grata, being so tanky, survives throughout that whole engagement and just keeps throwing hook shots over and over, enabling his cores.
And as you said, now the Abyssal Blade is there for Silent. So he really does have all the tools to get on top of the gyrocopter. Just sort of have to play around the fact that maybe sort of a Nightmare will come out from base, something to sort of disrupt it. But if he's able to do that with Iceberg getting on top of Faith, there's a very good chance that he is able to kill off Mugi before he's out of the stun and before he's able to pop Satanic.
I mean, if they see Faith at all in the fights, Faith is just dead. Because Faith doesn't have any type of saving items. He's just got like a cloak, doesn't quite have that Glimmer Cape. I think that should be their biggest priority in the fights. Just try to take out that Bane. Should be pretty easy.
Still 43 minutes in, 31-37. 4K advantage for Winstrike. But an incredibly close game here in this best of 1. Lower bracket. Both teams playing their hearts out, as you can really feel. This is as close as it has been today. And still no telling really which way this game can fall. As Newbee, they do have a lot of potential. With the Satanic Mugi in terms of scaling, he's got the Butterfly queued up next. But at the same time, if it's all about the clutch plays from Winstrike in terms of disable. Between Non-Grata getting in with a hook shot, Iceberg dropping a combo, No Fear making the clutch swap, Silent getting in on top of the Mugi gyrocopter, or of course the Dragon Knight with his Abyssal Blade.
It's such a scary game because one little misstep could really cost you it.
Especially with some of the buybacks.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Some of the buybacks still down for about 4 minutes. Q1, of course, Silent. Unavailable for 4 minutes, as you can see there. So is No Fear and Always Want to Fly. But at the same time, KP and SCCC do have to be careful.
They're looking to go for some type of fight.
It will be a bit of a bait on the Illusion. So now the Silent Newbee will know that this movement's probably coming in. They would have saw the Illusion getting hook-shotted.
Iceberg got a haste rune. They really wanted to go look for something here.
And a little bit of a blunder onto the Illusion. Looks like it may have put a stop to Winstrike being able to catch Newbee off guard. As Newbee, as you can see, they're totally prepared, just grouping around where they had all the wards. And Winstrike realized they won't look to try and find the fight. Let's just get a bit of pressure, keeping that top wave pushed in against Newbee.
They've been doing a really good job of that pretty much the whole game. Just keeping those waves pushed out to force Newbee to make moves and give information on the map. So I think I've been seeing Winstrike constantly kind of circle the area where they think Newbee is, and I think 2 or 3 times in this game they've actually gotten me right on the money. As now SCCC, level 20, well, level 25 was picked up earlier, but AC is finished up 2 now. As you have buyback available on Iceberg, at least now for.
Still a very high win probability here, according to Dota Plus, for Winstrike. As I say, you really can't feel that the Newbee's out of this, as we have seen what they're able to do with the gyrocopter on the defense, and Mugi getting closer and closer to having his Butterfly. We'll see if he does decide to eventually go full in rather than keeping for buyback as well.
They still have such an immense amount of damage coming into Newbee.
They've just got to make sure Mugi doesn't get gone on top of.
They have to make sure they can get Faith in a nice blanketed position so he can get his spells off safely as those 2 other cores just run in and take the brunt of the force. KP's very close to level 25 too. Could be looking for that Moonlight Shadow cooldown. That's always going to be able to help you because, you know, it's kind of like a smoke every cooldown in a way. helps too in the team fights if you're not rallied around the gem or if they don't have dust. But Winstrike's actually been very prepared. No Fear has had a dust the entire time, even if the Clockwork has a gem. Just having two different ways to scout people. That Moonlight Shadow. Take out some vision here, Newbee. Poised on the high ground here.
Winstrike with a vision advantage.
Okay, they use a glyph on the side of Newbee, I guess, to push out the side lanes. That could be costly though. If Winstrike wins a fight, they can look to just push while that glyph is down.
Quickly revealing himself there to the side.
Dire's bottom shrine is under attack.
Those bottom racks well and truly exposed and will have a creep wave coming in and beating upon them. Winstrike
Dire's
claim
bottom
themselves
shrine has
another
fallen.
shrine.
Dire's bottom barracks
When they're all
are
rallied
under
around the
attack.
bench, the damage is just so high on everybody.
Still got that cheese on silent for the next
Dire's
fight.
bottom
The
barracks
bottom range racks actually does go down to the catapults that are pushing in from the side of Winstrike. So a little bit more momentum going their way, and that should give them additionally more map control. Bottom and mid constantly shove on each side. Our next Roche we'll find out in about 20 seconds. That's probably where the next big situation will happen. Both teams struggling to get vision on the map. Game with all these gems and so many sentries, but always just trying to make sure you have some advantage of a high ground so you can look to take fights around it. They lead Kaka in the front because they know that he's not really at risk of dying if he leads the charge because he's got Shadow Realm Blink.
Both teams opposite side of the river.
They're letting No Fear be the one who pushes up the top lane as the rest of the Winstrike team plays a bit safe. They want to get this Venge at level 20, also try to farm that Aghanims. He does take the Venge to our advantage. And he's gone for like the Vlads as well. He's pretty much like, rally around me, and we'll kill everybody.
And it's off.
Do you like a sort of decision as well, No Fear, to go for the Aghanims this game?
Why not? He's farming a decent amount, right?
He's going to get a good time.
There's not really better items than Avenge, and you keep yourself involved in the fight even if you're dead. You keep your auras going for your teammates. You're still kind of there, too.
Are scanning.
And we have it. Time to smoke from Winstrike. Kaka on the front lines. They do sit. They want to jump, and they do. Swap it straight back into the stun. Kaka deleted. Pop the tombstone down just in case more of a fight comes in. Nongrado tries the hook shot. Won't be able to catch Faith as the rest of Newbee are able to retreat with the Moonlight Shadow, get themselves back to base. But that's one hero down, around when
cool
Roshan could be respawning.
I haven't seen that. I mean, I've seen a couple of the Venge swap combos, but a Venge swap into an Avalanche, that's a neat little way to use it. We usually see the swap into the Hex or the swap into like a DK stun or something, but that works as well. 30 seconds Winstrike, they feel very confident right now.
That's going to be even easier as well to land those combos whenever they want. With the 25 on Tiny, taking the minus 12 second Avalanche cooldown. He's pretty much always going to have it.
That's the second time now I've seen the Avalanche cooldown over the Tuster. In the last 2 games, I think. Sure, I saw that last game.
Really is just all about the Roshan at the moment. Winstrike trying to build up vision and control around this area. They know that they've got the advantage in terms of being able to do so with that kill that they found onto Kaka.
Yeah, they're just keeping themselves around here. It's great that they have those racks for themselves because it keeps that pressure going. Nongrado goes
He's
in.
going to lead in straight away, but there's the counterplay. Faith on the sideline with the Feast Grip, but did they have to damage kill him? They don't. He's got the BKB and the Blade Man out. They're going to swap onto SCCC, but SCCC never played, but he's stuck in the trees. He's stuck in the trees. SCCC's gone.
Oh my god.
Dead for 2 minutes.
If they ever get those situations where they're having to use a Fiend's Grip on a Clockwork 2, the fight's already looking very troublesome for Newbee.
I mean, that was all down to sort of the swap play there from No Fear. Panic sort of set him for SCCC as he instantly, I believe he may have even just have double tapped the blink in an attempt to sort of separate himself, get him back towards the side of his own team. But he put him in the middle of the trees. There was no way for him to maneuver himself out. Winstrike getting themselves these big kills around the point that Roshan is soon to be coming back up.
And Newbee lost their gem. Winstrike didn't actually see the gem in the tree line there, but it's still chilling.
I'll say it's soon with the creeps potentially. Keep their eyes on it.
I think that's the full Aghanims coming out on the courier now for the bench. Yep, as well as a Daedalus finished for Iceberg. And a DD on top. Let's see that Tiny's damage next to the bench.
The buyback's going to come out. The question is, will SCCC be forced to buy back as well? He's still dead for a full minute.
800 damage per hit on Iceberg right now.
Silent running onto the rack. They try with the Terrorize. Does catch on to Silent, pushing back the Phantom Lancer. still trying to hold off on buying back on SCCC. The homing missile connects onto Silent. Iceberg looking to lead in with the double damage, and he cleans up the racks. The second set of racks now down. It's Winstrike. Iceberg forced back. Now the buyback comes out. It comes out after the racks have fallen, though.
Oh, they're already on full retreat. Uh-oh.
So a bit of an awkward buyback there from SCCC. May have worried that they were going to try for more, but he brought back after they'd taken the racks and after they were already retreating.
They're definitely in a tough spot now. I believe it is. Rapier should be coming online soon, right? I think they have to go
He's
for it.
He's got to go for the Rapier.
Mugi's queued it up. I think you have to.
That's like what we love to see.
These fights just are seeming to be so difficult for them to get the way they want to. Like, Winstrike just has momentum pushing in the side lane, so they're getting the advantage. They're taking the fights that they want to over and over again. Newbee is not fighting on their own accord. They're fighting into Winstrikes.
They're going to look towards the Roshan, but this is such a risky fight to take. SCCC, as we saw, using his buyback, he cannot afford to die around the pit. They have to be so careful how they go in on this. Newbee. Of course, still once that Rapier's up, they've still got to be careful. There's a blade mail on the clockwork.
Silent has 8,000 gold and hasn't spent it.
I mean, at the moment, considering the last fight, he hasn't needed to. Does so much at the moment, and you could argue that it's more valuable for him to have the slot for the cheese in these fights.
Yeah, I guess that's probably why. And buyback, maybe buyback moves to travel or something along those lines. Just wants to make sure he has the tools.
They know that they're in there. They saw the flare come over as well as the wave for Terra. Can they get in though? That's the question. Mugi trying to lead him with the corner, but not Grider. Keeping him out with a hook shot straight away on Mugi. They get the swap out. Mugi gets the chance for the BKB, trying to hit it on Grider, but the blade man is hurting him. They've lost the pain. Mugi on the side versus no fear, but no fear. He's got the Agate in play. He can still continue punching. The buybacks coming out from Newbee. They look to drop him, but NCCC's down. Silent and Iceberg still in the pit. They'll finish off Roshan. They'll get the Aegis on Silent. Non-Grada still playing around with KP. He has the gem, has the detection, chases down KP, and KP's gone as well.
The swap, instantly, the Fiends get literally like instant duration, like it didn't even last for like a half a second or something. The instant swap out, they get the perfect team fight for Winstrike.
And KP, he can buy back.
Silent just found Kaka on the back two and just killed him, so they had such clear number advantage. There's no Bane, there's no DK for over 60 seconds.
And Mugi, with that buyback, the dreams of the Divine Rapier getting pushed further away. Can Newbee really help with just the three of them? Silent, the tier 3, got the Moonlight Shadow constantly up, of course, the arrow comes through. Will not connect. It's KP, does look towards always want to fly, gets the tombstone down. But they're onto the barracks.
They can't push them off, the buildings are gonna die. Look at Iceberg, he just chunks right through them with Silent.
With the Curse Crown onto the Tiny, but there's non-Grata. He's looking to go straight in, doesn't find the hook shot onto Mugi. But in Winstrike, able to claim that final set of racks here.
KP.
Look at the jump, KP's able to leap away the Terrorite to start to push them back as KP will survive with the BKB and the Moonlight Shadow in this. Non-Grata getting Curse Crowned. The Courier actually going down, did have the Refresher Shard on there for Winstrike, but I don't think they'll care too much as they've taken all the racks. They're onto the tier 4s, still 20 seconds without SCCCs. Look at the speed that they take these down. Iceberg with the right clicks, he found one tier 4, Mugi leaning in, does get always want to fly, but non-Grata comes in with a hook shot, unable to trap Mugi with the cogs, but Silent, straight on top of KP. KP getting bashed up, cannot escape, KP's gone, Iceberg in with a combo, finds Faith, Mugi getting pushed back to base. SCCC will be back up in a couple of seconds, but they've lost both tier 4 towers as Newbee's Ancient, it's exposed. Silent still standing strong, but he gets stunned. SCCC able to find the jump. He has got the Aegis though, Silent, if needs be. Doppelgangers to the side. Non-Grata falling pretty low, but he's got the blade mail out. Can they kill off Silent even once they can? They'll kill Silent once. They'll turn towards No Fear. Mugi trying to chase down this Venture Spirit. He's slowed down by the right click of SCCC. Gets the swap onto SCCC. Back into the clutches of Iceberg. Silent, he's on top of Mugi. Mugi's dead. GG is called as Winstrike knock Newbee out of the competition. Newbee will be unable to make their revenge run as Winstrike, the new lads in town, are moving